Welcome to episode 10 of SipTalk. Today we're drinking gin, and we're going to be talking about landlord incentives, incentives for brokers, OPs, free months, and how that works. Well, we are live on Instagram, and we are now almost live on Facebook. So,
wonderful.
Guys, you want to introduce yourselves?
Hi, I'm Layla.
Hey, I'm Adam.
All right, one more time.
Hi, I'm Layla.
Hey, I'm Adam.
All right, cool. This is episode 10 of SipTalk. Today we're talking about what? Today we're talking about landlord incentives, OPs paid to brokers, how that works, how the math breaks down. And Rosh, are we good to get into it?
Good.
All right, cool. So, Layla, you work in the leasing side of things. So effectively, we as brokers bring you together with tenants. And can you tell us just a little bit about what your job is, what you do day to day?
Well, I work at, should I say?
No, you don't have to.
Okay, so leasing associate, I basically make sure that whoever comes in through the doors, I help the brokers, or if they come
You
directly.
work straight with tenants as well.
Straight with tenants, yeah.
Brokers.
Help manage the tenants, make sure their stay with us is great. I help the brokers collect their paperwork and everything that's needed. Now, we have a headquarters office. So all I do is send that over to them, and I don't know the details of what they do.
You don't know what the headquarters office does. Okay.
Because there's a leasing coordinator that we have also. So I'm just the associate.
But you don't show the apartments.
I do show the
You
apartments.
do show the apartments. Okay, but
When
straight to
needed.
the tenants. Okay, typically, now when a tenant comes to you, are they allowed to go without you, or they have to go with definitely somebody, some representative? They show up without a broker.
Without a broker, yeah. So they're
You
going to
have
go
to
through
go.
us, so we don't charge them any fees.
You don't charge them any fees, and when we bring you a tenant, you pay us.
1 month OP.
1 month OP. OP stands for owner pays, and typically it is 1 month. It's not always 1 month. Sometimes they'll do 15% of the annual rent. Sometimes they'll do 2 months.
And it depends on the lease too.
Are you rolling up from here too?
I'm good, yeah.
Cool.
So like if you guys come to us, you have a client that wants to do a 6-month lease, we'll only do half-month OP.
You guys do 6-month leases?
With
Always?
half-month, not always,
Not
for
always.
now.
Okay, for now. And why do you pay brokers an OP?
I don't have that answer for you. I'm not the landlord. It's not my money.
But no, typically you pay the brokers an OP to incentivize them to rent the apartments.
Right.
So if you do a 12-month lease, you're really only collecting 11 months because you're collecting 12 and you're then giving the broker one. But why would you do that rather than discounting the rent?
I don't have that answer for you either.
Oh man. So
Like the company that I work for, we've always done that. We've never not had a 1 month OP.
yeah, the company is super broker friendly. You guys are very
Yeah.
welcoming to brokers because we generate a great deal of the rental transactions for you, which means less advertising dollars go out of your pocket, which means less staff because we show the apartments. And then do the tenants get anything if they go direct to you?
No.
No. So
They
they're-
just save on like,
A broker fee or something.
but they're not
but
paying
they're
a
not,
broker's
they're
fee.
not,
Oh, true,
so they're
true,
not
true.
paying.
So it doesn't cost anything extra to tenants to use a broker in that scenario. So they're
Right.
inclined to use a broker. Plus, we provide them with more than one option. So it's not your apartment; it may be somewhere else. But we may push them to rent your apartment because you're paying us the OP. And typically in Manhattan, we collect a fee from the renter. The vast majority of the deals we do, we collect a fee from the renter. Now, we typically ask for 15% of the annual rent.
Yep.
Now, as a renter, the renter is obviously going to prefer a no-fee apartment because that's no fee to them versus paying us 15% of the annual rent that they have to pay to move in. But we as agents would prefer to get 15% because on a $3,000 apartment, 15% of the annual rent, being $36,000, is $5,400. So we would rather $5,400 than a 1 month OP, which is $3,000. So the problem is, if we only advertise apartments with fees, we're going to get fewer renters.
Right.
We're going to get fewer leads. So that's kind of a dilemma that the agent has to figure out if they want to advertise more no-fee apartments where the landlord's paying, where they're going to get more leads but they make less money per deal, or if they want to advertise fee apartments where they're collecting a negotiable fee, regardless of what we ask for. It's always negotiable.
Sure.
And you can refuse to negotiate, but the other person could refuse to rent the apartment, right?
Yep.
But you make more money. So what do you? So Adam is an agent doing primarily rentals.
Yes.
What do you usually advertise?
Well, typically I advertise fee apartments. In my experience, at least, and I don't know if anyone out there could agree or disagree, but I have found that I actually get a lot of no-fee clients through fee advertising, because they're not always necessarily finding what they're looking for, and then they're open to paying a broker fee for an apartment.
So you get fee clients from no-fee advertising.
But what I'm stating is that I get a lot of clients that come in that aren't really open to paying a broker fee.
Okay.
But they become more open to it when I
So you
educate
get
them in the
somebody
market.
who contacts you for a no-fee listing.
Yes.
Okay. And then they're open to paying a fee?
Yeah. Once
Okay.
they start seeing the difference in options, but unfortunately, there's just less and less landlord incentives, so it makes that market is slowly shrinking a bit more and more these days.
So you guys always offer OP on all your apartments. Not all landlords offer OP, obviously.
Yeah.
But the landlords who do offer don't always offer it year-round. Typically, they do it when the season's slower, or maybe they've had an apartment that's sat on the market for a while.
And they want to get rid of it.
Exactly. Whereas in a strong market, the landlord may not need to incentivize brokers to rent their apartments. They're renting right away. So we see a lot of incentives paid by landlords go away in the summertime. But also, if somebody's only looking at no-fee apartments, they're going to miss out on a lot of other apartments. And typically, if a landlord's incentivizing a broker to pay the fee, or incentivizing a broker paying the fee, there's a reason behind it. So in my opinion, your apartments are a little more expensive than comparable apartments, but I'll push them because you guys are paying the fee.
Yeah. I've been in that dilemma before, and I've made that judgment call too.
Yeah, so somebody with a $2,000 budget might find an $1,800 apartment but then pay a fee on it.
Right.
So the value may be added to them if they're going to stay in the apartment for 2 or 3 or more years, because they're saving money in the long run. What about free rent? You guys don't do free rent, but you know how that works?
Free rent, like a last month free.
Last month free?
We used to have that years ago, along with the 1 month OP.
Wow.
In the last 2 or 3 years, I want to say, we haven't been doing that.
What was the reason for kind of getting rid of that incentive?
Again, I don't have that answer.
Okay, fair enough.
So there's a lot she said she can't talk about.
That's okay.
Just because of her role. But typically, landlords will offer a free month of rent. So say the apartment's $2,000. Over the course of 12 months, they're going to collect $24,000. But they're offering a free month, and that's only $2,200. $22,000 they're collecting over the course of 12 months.
Right.
So making less money, but they're then able to advertise the apartment at what's called net effective rent.
Okay.
Net effective rent is when you divide that 22,000 number by 12.
Right.
Okay? Even though you're paying 11 months, you divide that 22. Let me just do the math on that real quick.
Sure.
And 22,000 divided by 12 is 1,833. So $1,833. So what people will do is they'll advertise that $2,000 apartment with 1 month free rent at $1,833 a month.
So can I actually touch on this for a second? And unfortunately, when you're not very familiar with the market, and to be honest, unless you're in real estate, I don't know many people that really are familiar with the way real estate works. And I find that that's becoming a bit of like deceptive marketing for a lot of people, and people kind of get really, oh, hello everybody. I get a little miffed about that, because I think it's kind of, it's misleading to a lot of people. So I think that that's really not fair to somebody who's really trying to hard press on that budget, and they kind of get looped into this situation where they wind up paying $200 more a month, but they're getting an incentive, but they contacted on something that looked like it fit in their budget initially, and it's a little bit misleading. And I think it's not really fair sometimes when people try to play that game on people who may not be totally educated about the market, because as a brokerage we work a lot with people who are new to the business or just in general not from
They
here.
don't know the market.
So
especially the New York City market.
it's really easy to take that advantage of people. That's unfair. I don't know how anyone else feels about that, like with the net effective rent stuff, but I think that it's
So
pretty
yeah,
misleading.
I'll touch real quick on the whole net effective situation. So $2,000 apartment over the course of 12 months, 24,000. They give a free month. It's 22,000 divided by 12 is 1833 a month. So somebody might advertise that apartment at 1833, and legally they have to put in the text now. They didn't used to legally have to put it. Legally they have to put in the text that it's net effective rent.
Okay.
The real rent is 2,000.
Good.
So somebody with an 1850 budget or an $1,800 budget, comes across this listing and they think, oh, I can afford this. When they see the apartment, they're then told that it's actually $2,000. Now, here's it's the whole reason why I want to do this podcast is so that people understand the value that the landlord for doing a free month.
Okay.
So the building is worth what the rent roll brings in. Okay, so that the landlord wants to refinance the building or sell the building, the value of the building is based on what the rents are.
Sure.
So if you give a free month here, the building is still worth that $2,000 a month because a free month came and gone. The building's worth what the leases say it's worth. But people come in with the mindset they're paying $1,833, and if they budget well over the course of the first year, they are. But landlords typically will not reduce their monthly rent to that $1,833 number. They're going to have them paying $2,000 a month. And the reason is, if that rent goes from $2,000 to $2,050 the following year, and that person's paying $1,833 a month, it's not going to go up to the $2,000 where they're paying $166 more.
Right.
They're going to be paying $216 more from the $1,833. So it feels like an even higher jump. You get used to paying $1,833 and you go up to $2,050. So if you're used to paying $2,000 and you go up to $2,050, and that free month is just behind you, you sunk that in your bank account, and you held on to it. It's much more stomachable.
But
Effectively, the whole idea with listing it at $1,833 is it got your attention when you had that $1,850 budget.
I mean, I guess I understand what your point is 100%. I mean, I'm being in the business for as long as I've been here. It's just I find that that net effective factor really can, I don't know, it's deceptive marketing to me like that, and I think it's really, and to be honest, it's BS. All right, like
It's
it really
just
is.
misleading.
Yeah, and then
And you won't know until you read the whole description.
But how do you get somebody with that $1,800 budget into a $2,000 apartment?
Well, I would probably start showing them actual apartments at $1,800 and show that what they really want versus what they think they want to pay is not really
How are you
lined
getting
up.
them to call you?
Find something that actually is $1,800. Get some good photos. Throw it online.
But it's
That's-
probably not as nice as the one.
Well, probably not.
Exactly. So you're advertising $1,800 apartments. Who's calling you? People with $1,700 budgets.
Not necessarily. Probably somebody with a $1,900 budget.
I started seeing this in like 2014-ish,
Okay.
2015. People advertising the net effective rent like crazy. Maybe even earlier than that. And I hated it because I never wanted to do it, because having that conversation with somebody who calls you on an $1,850 apartment, telling them it's actually over $2,000 is really difficult, and they just hate you right
But
off
I
the
find
bat.
that now people understand the whole net effective thing.
Most people do,
Yeah.
but a lot of people who move into an apartment
That would be
in
like
New
the
York City,
first question they ask, usually.
That's
Is that
interesting,
net
really.
effective?
Oh. I guess I've had that
Because
a couple
they've seen
times.
it for so long.
well, when somebody sees a rent price that says $1,867 or $3,214, either believe that it's net effective or it's stabilized. But you
Right.
need to know
Right.
there's something that's not normal, because nobody prices a vehicle. I'm thinking I want to talk about car ads in my head, because the thing about car ads, I don't know if you want to buy a brand new car, the
Okay.
commercials will say like, you can get this 2020 Ford F-150 with $14,000 in savings right off the bat.
That was awfully specific, wasn't it?
Why does he know this?
Yeah, that was really specific
why
on
that
But
car?
I'm curious. I just saw. I'm making it up, but I saw a commercial where they said brand new car and you're saving like $14,000 off the bat, and I just thought, then you're really not, because the actual price of that vehicle is whatever the number is minus the $14,000, just actual price. If everybody's buying it at that price,
You're not actually winning any real discount.
It's just
Deceptive marketing.
It's deceptive.
Or like how you can get up to 0% on financing, right? Like that's another
Yeah, I
gimmick.
hear that a lot,
And then
yeah.
they withhold points and stuff like that. And you end up getting like a 17% interest rate, and your credit's above 700, and you're like, all right, what's going on? You know? I know, it's frustrating.
But marketing has to continually evolve. That
think it really has?
This
Do you
net
think it
effective
has
rent
evolved?
is a step in the evolution of marketing.
Deceptive marketing, though. We're all in agreement on that.
Marketing to some
in
degree, may include a deceptive element.
Do you think marketing really has changed that much, though, since, like, let's just argument's sake, over the course of 2010 to 2020, has marketing really changed?
Marketing has entirely changed. You're talking a really small snippet of marketing, but what
not
was the
small,
start
it's-
year that you said?
When I started?
No, the
2010
2010.
to 2020.
When did Instagram exist?
2012?
So how can you say marketing hasn't even changed when Instagram didn't exist?
Well, I was just asking the question. I was posing a question.
Well,
that's all.
I think without a doubt, in 10 years, marketing has changed an immense amount.
Okay. What about in real estate?
What about in real estate? Imagine
kidding
a time when Craigslist was the winner. When I started doing this, there weren't pictures on Craigslist when you were searching.
Wow.
Okay, there weren't thumbnail pictures. Craigslist was just a line of text.
I remember that,
So your
actually.
title
Wow.
the title was super, super important because that's all people read.
That's nuts.
Yeah.
I actually remember looking at Craigslist when it was just line by line. It
And
wasn't
shortly
even photos.
before that was advertising in the newspapers and the want ads.
Wow.
Yeah. Now we have so many channels to
So how old
advertise
are you
on.
guys?
Oh, I'm still in my 20s. I'll make that very clear to everybody. I'm proud of it. Well, no, that's a fair thing. I mean, look, I think advertising has changed a lot since I started. I mean, just in terms of the platforms and how things have sort of changed up. What I don't like is that a lot of these posting platforms are all kind of universally becoming under one umbrella. That to me is
That's
not.
a big thing.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of chokeholding a little bit of letting the evolution continue. But I don't know. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, you're talking about Zillow, which is a Goliath of a company.
Yeah.
And internationally, it's as far as I know, in New York City, Zillow and Trulia are mostly sales platforms. Street Easy is mostly rental. Trulia did rentals for a long time, right? And they own Hot Pads and Naked Apartments.
Yep.
And I believe Pad Mapper as well.
It's kind of crazy. I mean, that they've become this monopoly on the business. You think that does starve off like how we can evolve a little bit? I mean, even from the landlord perspective, I'm sure that's kind of a challenge.
Do you guys advertise on your own?
We do in the summer, obviously when it's the busiest.
Sure.
Street Easy, I guess when we're desperate, I want to say. Like to rent.
But is Street Easy free for you?
No, we pay for it.
Wow. That's really
So we
interesting.
pay for Street Easy. Craigslist for us is free. And we use Columbia.
No, it's not. Craigslist changed. $5 for owners now. It used to be $10
Since
for
when?
agents
Not last
and
summer.
free, not last summer.
Yeah,
No,
okay,
this is a
see?
recent
Great.
change. Yeah.
So a lot of people don't know this, but in New York City, you have to pay to post on Craigslist. It used to be $10 a day, or $10 a listing for real estate ads by broker,
Yep.
and $0 by owner. And a lot of people don't know this either. Job ads cost money. And I think it went from 25 to 45 now.
Yeah.
And before that, it was even less. But that's a $20 jump. So a job ad costs $45. So if I want to post a real estate ad in the real estate section, the sales section, and the customer service section, that's $135 for one post, which in 2 days nobody's going to see it because it's buried by everybody else.
Sure.
So us, especially as a smaller company, that's really tough to advertise on Craigslist because you have the big companies that are putting 6 ads out a day because they have massive marketing budgets for hiring. But the real estate section is funny because brokers in the high-end markets like San Francisco and New York City basically pay the bills for Craigslist because it's pretty much a free platform. There's no advertising anywhere on the site, and they don't charge people for it, which is brilliant, except they charge you in New York City for real estate and job ads. And there's a
Crazy.
couple other higher end markets that they do that there as well. But so all the free section was the buy owner section. So real estate agents used to advertise in the buy owner section, really taking advantage of it. And because Craigslist is self-policed, it's up to the users to flag the posts that are by broker.
Yeah, well, you also, you find a lot of brokers that try to just post for free and they go in the owner
That's
section.
what I
and
do.
then,
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
That's
Which
like,
is why Craigslist started charging in the buy owner section. So now it's
smart.
$5 by owner. It's $5 by broker
Well,
with a
that's
broker
like
fee.
fair.
With
I
a
can
broker
say that's
fee.
fair.
I
agree.
think it's fair too. They're using the service just as much as anybody else.
Yeah.
And $5 for broker with no fee. And brokers used to put the OP listings, the owner paid listings, in the owner section on Craigslist, which is just,
Sorry, I don't know if anyone else can see this on camera, but this ice is just not melting. I think this is
Adam
what
has
sunk
a
the
giant piece of
Titanic.
ice. Here, look.
If anyone can see, this is what sunk the
I
Titanic.
told
right
him
here.
it was a bad idea.
You did. That's fair. I like
If you
a
had a
challenge,
straw,
but
this
this
would have been
is
fine.
Yeah, well now that's illegal.
So
So
you could have just popped it in there.
yeah.
See, things change.
Okay, since
Straws
when?
are illegal.
That's
Since
like
when
a
are
year.
straws illegal?
Just like plastic bags are going to be legal on March 1st.
What are you talking about? Where I get my coffee, it's plastic straws.
Not for long.
Not
they're
for long.
they're gonna get taken down.
Well, I hate cardboard straws. They taste like soggy
What
cardboard.
about a metal one? The metal straws are nice.
I like to bite my straws.
That's maybe you don't
Chew
want
on
to
the
bite
Bite
those.
metal.
On the metal.
Shooting on a metal stick. Hey.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, so advertising has changed quite a bit though, and I think really, I moved enough. I moved like 6 times in New York City before becoming a real estate agent. So I was able to go into this with a fresh perspective from the renter's eyes, and know what it's like to be. Well, to know what it's like to look for apartments and be screwed over by real estate agents and by landlords who promise you one thing, or they advertise these photos and you bait and switch to an apartment that's completely different.
Sure.
Or you show up to the apartment and they don't show up. That's and also you learn to spot the ads that sound fake. And you learn when
Fraudulent.
people email you what's a fake. It's a scam artist. Everybody knows now if you get an email from somebody that says, "I'm the Prince of Nigeria, I need to hide my millions," it's a scam email.
Right.
But for a really long time, people didn't know that. So
That's that's so
I
funny.
could tell you some popular scams that I see all the time.
Like my childhood, just like getting those emails.
Those emails were great, man. I almost thought I was a
Love that.
millionaire a couple of times.
Okay.
But now it's so obvious.
Oh, yeah, fair.
But
To
a lot
talk
of
about.
people will ask for deposits without seeing the apartment,
Or to pay to see an apartment before you
or to
even
pay
go.
to see an apartment. Which, if that's a business model, like I'd be down behind that. There's no broker fee. I just collect $200 from everybody that wants to see an apartment. I don't see that going over.
I know
very well.
agents that charge though for showings.
Really?
Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
think
Wow.
there's anything wrong with that.
Yeah.
It's gotta be
It's
an
just-
interesting
For example,
conversation.
$20 to show you this apartment. Yeah.
Wow.
It's time. We work for free the majority of the time. That's what people don't understand
get
when they pay a
that. No, I
broker's
get
fee.
that.
The
But
whole
like-
industry is based on landlords use agents, and most of the time they don't offer an OP. They don't offer to pay them.
Right.
So landlords use agents to market the apartments and show the apartments, prepare paperwork. People don't know what it's like going through 3 college kids who have no idea in the real world even what a tax return looks like.
True.
And then their parents, because they're guaranteeing the lease. So you have 2 parents. So now you're dealing with 9 people, massive amounts of paperwork coming by fax, because somehow people are faxing us in 2020
That's
their
crazy
paperwork
still to me.
because they
I don't
feel
even know
more
how that
secure.
works, by the way.
They feel more
I have
secure
no clue.
faxing than they do emailing.
Well, I had to get an e-fax number because I don't even own
Well,
a
a lot of
fax
people
machine.
are more secure faxing their paperwork to your fax number, which shows up in your email,
Right.
which is just absolutely insane. But yeah, people fax information, they password protect it and send us PDFs. At the end of the day, 99% of the time, probably more, we print everything, scan it, and email it. That's
Organize
about
it for the
right.
landlord,
that's
and that's it.
usually how that works.
But part of our job is the fiduciary responsibility to make sure that paperwork is handled and taken care of and not disclosed.
You would be, well, it goes to the
yeah.
landlord.
Well, beyond, no, but that's
But
that's
you're
fair,
trusting that your relationship with the landlord goes that far.
Yeah.
But a lot of people don't understand what it's like and how much work that we actually do as agents. And the broker fee covers all that. They cover us advertising and marketing the apartments, previewing the apartments, transportation to and from the apartments, covers us showing the apartments, booking the appointments, email marketing to people.
But, you know, how many people really care at the end of the day, right? They just want the best deal possible. So they
Fine.
don't
Question:
think about that.
How do you guys feel about these? Sorry.
It's okay.
Oh, okay, that was really fast. That was a really fast response. These
Lease
companies.
guarantee companies.
No, the corporate leases.
That's
These companies that
Oh.
rent out in bulk from landlords, and then they rent it for probably a little cheaper, advertise,
Ooh.
and then
They
you
rent
guys
it a little cheaper with you.
with the
I get a
landlord.
bone to pick with you on this one, so be careful how deep into this we get.
I think
So
I'm
what-
part of that transaction that happened a while ago with that. Just for the
Yeah,
record.
you were.
So
That was you.
what Layla's talking about is a company that comes and they'll rent, say, 10 apartments. What's a good number?
Let's say 20.
Okay, 20
wow.
apartments. I thought 10's a little low. So they rent 20 apartments. The apartments are in their name. So now if they have 20 units on the market as a landlord, they're making $0 on. These 20 vacancies are filled.
Yep.
So the deal they're going to cut,
With a corporate lease.
the deal they're going to cut is at a lower rent on the per unit level. Okay, but they know the apartments aren't going to sit vacant for a month or 2 months. And especially with your portfolio, a lot of the apartments are very, very similar to each other. So if you have 6 3-bedrooms, one of them is going to sit considerably longer than the rest. So they're renting the apartments at a lower rate, and then those companies are coming in, and most of them are furnishing the apartments with, I will say, I've seen a lot of these apartments, decent furniture.
It's pretty nice.
It's
I'm not
usually
going to
a-
lie, they make
but,
it nice.
But not just furniture. They have plants, forks, knives,
I
toilet
swear, I
paper.
feel like they have an interior decorator.
A lot of them do. A lot
They
of them
really
They
know
probably
how to
have
make
someone
like
like
the
on staff.
space
do.
super
Yeah.
nice.
Rugs. The apartments are nice. And they furnish the apartments, and then they rent the apartments out, oftentimes on a per bedroom basis. And life goes on. You guys are cool with it. They're making money. It's a tough business model for them because they really have to stay on top of things. And a lot of landlords are not cool with it. Why are a lot of landlords not cool with it? Layla.
We're cool with it.
Okay, you guys are cool with it. Okay, so I guess you can't speak
Because
for...
they manage that unit basically. So we don't have anything to do with that to a certain degree.
To a certain degree, you
Depending on the
They
issue.
cover maintenance. Typically, the contract usually reads they cover maintenance up to, say, $500. And, but
They go through that company.
you
the
don't
duration of their
know
lease.
who's in the units.
We don't.
You don't know. And that's risk for you, right? Because you could have a killer in the apartment.
And you don't even know.
You could have a sex offender in the apartment. And you
Right,
don't-
but
But you don't care.
we.
I'm
Not
sure you
true.
care. I'm joking. I'm joking.
No, I'm saying there's let's say a standard, right? Or you have to pass what, like a.
Well, those companies have their own standards.
Right.
But we would have to agree to those standards. There's a lot of like attorneys involved, and of course we're not going to have a serial killer living in one of our buildings.
But do you know if they do a criminal background check?
That's a leasing coordinator question.
Because
But
now
of course we want our butt covered, so I'm sure that they do that.
I would hope so.
well,
yeah.
they would effectively
Because we're a
they-
big company.
They would be liable as the overlease holder. They're
And why
holding
would
the
we
lease.
want that issue?
But the feedback.
Maybe
that-
a smaller
when I
landlord
bring
wouldn't
a
care
cli-
as much.
When I bring a corporate client, somebody that wants to rent 20, 50, 100 apartments,
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Potentially, usually it's 3 or 4 to start, and
Mm-hmm.
because that's what's vacant right now. The landlord is usually the concerns I get are we don't know who's going to be living in the apartments.
Fair concern, though.
Yeah, but also on a neighbor level, you're now bringing in because they have to stay there. The tenants have to stay there at least 30 days, as per the laws in New York City. But that's a lot of turnover if you live in the building.
Yeah.
So if you have somebody who is there for 30 days, Next month you have somebody who's there for 30 days. You now have, rather than having one neighbor over the course of 12 months, you have potentially
12.
On average 11 and a half. Right?
But as
a lot
a
of half
tenant, do
people
you
working
guys really
As a neighbor,
care?
as a neighbor,
As a neighbor,
no, I
like
don't.
a
do
lot
you
of people
care?
do. Somebody who's been in the building for 10 years is really going to care.
If I'm a tenant, I'm not going to care. But because I don't, how many of
Yeah,
you really know
same.
your neighbors on a first and last name
I
basis?
don't.
In the suburbs, it's different. I grew up in the suburbs. It's very normal to know your
Suburbia, yes,
neighbors really
no.
well. But in New York City, can you name 5 neighbors that are on your floor in your building?
I met the neighbor a couple months ago. I almost had to move. Like I didn't. Very uncomfortable for me.
You?
I
No.
only know their names because I look at like the lists.
So you have the small advantage of
I
having
don't
that.
know them personally. Like I could not point them out.
So
like,
that's why I don't know if I agree. Like, who cares, right? But like at
But
the
that's
same
your
time,
perspective.
and I would think the same for both of you, because how much invested interest do you have for
I
your
think
neighbors?
in a smaller, if you're talking about a smaller landlord, someone who has like 2 or 3 buildings,
It's very
they
different.
don't
You're
have.
right.
It's very different compared to like a major landlord that owns like 100 buildings in one specific area, where there's constant and. We always do subleases. So either way, there's like
oh yeah, you're right. You do.
sublets,
do that.
subleases, like there's always people moving in and out for a major landlord. But that it could be a completely different story
A
for
lot of
someone
big
who owns.
landlords don't do subleases.
Really?
I mean,
Well,
they
we
try
work
to
with a lot of
avoid it.
students.
You
Like
do work with a lot
95% of
students.
our tenants are students. That's
Yes.
why.
Exactly. Yeah, you guys do a lot of students.
So
I
it
ask-
depends.
Can I ask you a question that could
Maybe.
lead a little bit into the bill a little bit? But how do you feel about corporate guarantors, like Insurance and the Guarantors.com? And as from the landlord's perspective, I haven't asked this question yet, but
Okay, so like what's that other one? Rhino, right?
Rhino is a big
Okay.
one too. Yep.
So it works out great for us now.
Okay.
It really is a lifesaver because we used to ask for rent because we work with a lot of international students. So before this was illegal, when this was legal, we would ask, depending on the situation, 3-6 months up front or a whole year up front, and that was fine. But now with these companies, and now that this law passed, now that it's illegal, Rhino and the guarantors really stepped up, and it helps us as landlords.
Okay.
And,
And
like,
you like
management.
it, like working
So-
with an insurance company like that?
So if you have
Yeah.
a bad tenant and they just say they moved in February and on May they didn't pay their rent, what are you going to do when you have a corporate guarantor?
Ooh.
We haven't had that issue yet that I know of.
You've never had that issue.
That I know of.
So let me ask you a question.
Okay.
If they meet the corporate guarantor standards and they have to pay the corporate guarantor, but they meet their standards, you've never had an issue, why not say, well, if you meet their standards, we're just going to lower our standards because we've never had an issue? I know it's not your call to make. I'm posing the question. Because a lot of landlords say, and I get this, oh, they meet that criteria, I'll just take them. Right?
Good question.
That is a good question.
So here's typically my understanding of what happens, and I would like to get one of these guys actually on the on SipTalk in the future. But typically, what happens, my understanding, is that if somebody stops paying rent, the landlord then has to.
There it goes.
Oh, we lost.
Sorry, we have
lost some
some
electronics
technical
here.
difficulties.
Some technical difficulties. Just give us a second, everyone.
Am I heard?
Here, guys, what's up? This is live.
Always
It's
haphazard
perfect, you
window.
guys.
All right.
So you posed a question in regards to what now? I lost a little bit track of what you were just saying there.
Did you
Fine.
pour more into your drink? I'm sorry.
I did. I'm trying to melt this ice.
Maybe
It's like
his
I'm
ice
like
is
I'm,
melting.
I'm
This
tackling.
is Adam's ice right here.
I'm trying to tackle this behemoth of
Let's get you
A
a
regular
straw.
drink. Adam drink. This is like it's just like full Titanic iceberg.
I know. I don't know what to do. You know.
Okay.
All right. So back to what we were just talking
Back
about.
to what we're talking about. Go ahead.
So the landlord has somebody who stopped paying rent. The renter has used a corporate guarantor. So typically, the corporate guarantor just doesn't pay that month of May. They move in February, just stop paying in May. Corporate guarantor doesn't just write you a check because that person stopped paying. And if they don't pay in June, they write you another check.
Right.
What you need to do as a landlord is start eviction proceedings. The person needs to be removed from the apartment,
Okay.
and then they will pay you back rent. However, you have to read the contracts. You're limited to the amount of back rent that they'll pay you. I think I heard it was 2 months, but I could be wrong on that.
Ooh. That is
Yeah.
a cap.
It's my understanding that the insurance company covers
But you
the
have.
rent.
But when do they pay you?
Well,
Again,
think
I
about like
don't-
filing an insurance claim, right? Like for, health care or a car
That's the whole
insurance or
point of
something
them,
like that. I
to,
think it's,
to cover the landlord's.
But of course, it's
But-
provisional. They have their provisions. You have to evict that person first. Because otherwise, what's your interest? You just keep collecting checks from the insurance company. Let that person chill, stay in the apartment. The insurance company can't do the eviction.
no. And getting evicted these days is becoming more and more difficult for landlords to do.
That's the one.
It's always been difficult in the city.
That's the one thing I don't get about this new law is they're making it even more complex and difficult for a landlord to evict someone. Landlords don't like evicting people. No landlord wants to evict somebody.
Exactly. Why would they want to?
Unless they're a bad tenant.
Exactly.
And the only reason somebody's getting evicted is if they deserve it. Mm-hmm. So now it's just more complex.
I feel
and
like
more
this
difficult.
law is just protecting horrible tenants.
A little bit.
No, it
I-
is.
I
It is.
really
Kind
think
of
so.
protecting the
So now you
people.
can be the shittiest tenant ever, and you're protected because there's a law that covers your butt, basically. In a nutshell.
That's kind of my thing. It's like creating this bigger safety net for people who, to be honest, really shouldn't always need saving.
Exactly.
Like
Well-
I get if you lose your job and you can't pay rent
Buddy,
for a month or two, and like that's
But
that's different.
But a landlord, they'll want to work with you. Landlords
Right.
want to work with you if they can get another few months of rent and maybe get you
Right.
back on
Exactly,
track.
exactly.
But with the new law, it's so difficult to evict you that if you're late or something like that, they're no longer going to work with you. They're just starting eviction proceedings as quickly as they can because now it takes even more time to do it.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's actually backfired on the tenants
Well, let
being
me ask
protected
you-
because now rather than the landlord saying I want to work with you, the landlord saying I'm sorry I have to do this, but I'm starting the eviction proceedings.
What's the state government's position on a lot of the pushback on the law? I haven't heard enough maybe loud voices on it or their response to some pushback.
The government position on it is whatever they hear the most of, and there's a lot more tenants.
Fair.
Okay, there's a lot more tenants speaking out than there are landlords, and tenants are a lot louder. And the optics of a landlord arguing a bill called the Tenant Protection Act, really shitty.
Fair.
Okay, you're arguing something called a Tenant Protection Act. People who are tenants, which is especially the majority in New York City, people who are tenants feel like they're under attack, even though at some point they're going to be tenants somewhere else. And here's something that is driving me nuts lately. It drove me nuts in the past. I kind of let it slide by, but it's really, when I think about it, it just makes me really mad inside.
This ice
okay?
cube, me too.
Sure. Okay. Let's share.
No, I mean like a core burn, like deep down inside.
Let it all out.
Now, I rent, okay? I rent.
I rent too.
Me too.
I also have borrowed things from people before.
what do
all
you
right?
mean?
When you rent something, by definition, you do not own it.
You are borrowing
You're
it.
leasing it. You're borrowing it. It is not yours.
Mm-hmm.
What's happened, and I believe it's a entitlement society kind of millennial type mentality, is that people believe that they own it and they deserve it, that it's theirs.
That's so
how do
true.
you how do you rent something, and then just believe it can't be taken away from you if you don't pay for it?
Of course it can.
That's
be.
a great question.
Wouldn't that then come down to just people who feel entitled? Like
That's why I said
simply
entitlement
it's
society.
Entitlement. Well, but that's like most of the generation now of like millennials and stuff like that. Most millennials are all entitled.
No,
anyway.
do not blame this on millennials because
I mean, I'm not going to blame it on the old baby boomers. Sorry, guys, but
Well, who do you
they
think
don't-
made the millennials?
who has the rent stabilized apartments, right?
Well,
this
yes,
is what
who
we're
has the
told.
rent
Oh,
stabilized
good point.
apartments?
Actually,
yeah.
I'll stand corrected then. Okay.
You're not getting a rent stabilized
No, I'm
apartment.
not.
I mean, I did.
The perks of being a landlord, everybody.
Technical difficulties again.
Oh,
No, we're losing.
She's a mess.
Okay,
What's in this?
just gin.
Just kidding. Yeah.
I need more of this.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah,
This
boy.
ice cube is finally being taken down, just if anyone wants a little update on the progress. It's
Where were
finally
we?
fitting in the glass. This is
Right,
great
it's not
news.
millennials that are renting.
Oh, your hair.
Yeah, the hair.
It's not millennials that are renting.
Rent stabilized units, which is what this issue is about.
But it's all kind of, yeah, that's fair.
It is the baby boomers.
All right, so I stand corrected. I'm happy to admit when I'm wrong. It's very true. Would you like some ice there?
Yeah, you have the ice. You're in charge
Get
of the
sack
ice.
of ice.
Yeah.
All right, you need some ice for the sack of ice.
Where did that come from?
I didn't actually think about that because we're mostly talking about moving forward. But I had an interview today with somebody.
Okay.
And her concern was being pushed out of a rent-stabilized apartment,
Ah.
which that's
Yeah, but the
Does
term
that
pushed.
fall into this argument then? Because maybe it does.
I don't get the term pushed
Well,
because
no one's pushing anyone.
no one's pushing anyone really, and it's up to you if this is now illegal. But the whole buyout situation, it's if you
it's
only
illegal to
accept
offer a
it.
buyout.
You can. It's illegal now.
To offer a buyout is illegal.
Yeah.
I did not realize that. But that's,
I didn't know that.
That's the crazy part of this is that
No one's pushing anyone out.
somebody
if you wanna
offers you
accept that money,
somebody offers you $500,000 to move out of your apartment that costs you $800 a month.
That's now illegal? Are you kidding? For real?
nobody. Yeah, you can't do that anymore.
I did not realize that. I didn't realize it was illegal to offer. I think you're giving somebody an option. So it's either stay in the
Exactly. You either
apartment.
take it, and people are taking it like you're pushing them out.
So what does a landlord do then?
What I just said to Layla is, you can have that chair and enjoy sitting, or I will give you $10,000 to stand up.
I'll take that $10,000. You're not pushing me out. I'm willingly taking that money, and I'm getting the fuck out of here.
It's okay, you can
And I'll
curse.
move to Hawaii.
But wait,
I don't
But
care.
if somebody offered me $500,000 to leave my apartment and I was paying $800 a month, you could start. I don't care how good or bad your situation is in life. You could go anywhere else. You could invest that money and make $800 a month.
Right.
The interest on that is
Alone.
$60 a day or something like that.
Yeah.
So
That's
This is
actually
why I
crazy.
don't
They
get
self-sustain
This
yourself.
whole claim that landlord pushing me out. I mean,
Landlord
we're
pushing you out, yeah.
offering you something, are we not?
So then what does a landlord do? That's my question. Like what?
At this point, now that it's illegal, or
Yeah.
what? Nothing.
they plant bed bugs in the apartments.
I
We
mean,
do-
like,
nobody does
constructive
that.
Nobody
I would
actually-
think constructive
Nobody
eviction
actually
is the only
does that. That would be a terrible thing to do. Also a brilliant thing to do, but then you have to deal with the bed bugs. And legally, you have to disclose if there ever was bed bugs in the building.
Which
You
you,
don't want that
created in the
issue in
first
life.
No
place.
landlord ever wants bed
You don't
bugs
want
because they
that
do not
issue.
go away. They do not go away. I think like 2011, no, maybe 2010, bed bugs like really came back.
Ew.
It really came. Bed
They
bugs
did.
were a big issue in New York City for a long time in the past.
Yeah.
Don't let the bed bugs bite. That's a that's a real that's a real
Gross,
issue. That's
gross,
a real thing.
gross.
All right, yeah. So
Knock on wood for myself on that. Let's.
For real, we
let's-
all live in rental buildings.
Yeah, come on.
it doesn't matter where you live.
Let's not keep talking about it. I feel
Even
like
if
they're
you go to
gonna
the
start crawling
movies,
up out of
even
nowhere.
if you go to the movies,
The
there
train, yeah,
the
everywhere.
train, yeah.
Yeah, wasn't there like a massive outbreak
Now
that
I'm,
started in
like,
like a Fifth
itchy.
Avenue store, and then it just
What?
kind of spread. This one woman like went into a store on Fifth Avenue, and it was like a retail store, and she went in. She had bed bugs. She didn't realize it at the time on her clothes, and then it spread throughout the whole store. And then people bought the clothes, and it became like it manifested into like
What
a
year was
pandemic.
this?
Was this like 2011, I think,
I
or like
was young.
2012?
Couldn't tell you.
It was like
You're
a
like 6
massive
years old,
story
right?
on ABC.
I was not
like,
6.
what is going on? You were
I
Wow.
was like 12.
If you've had bed bugs, if you're on live and you've had bed bugs, or if you're in real life and you've had bed
I'm
bugs,
so sorry.
Please get rid of them.
yeah, she plants them in the apartments over here. No, if you've had bed bugs, I'd really like you to share your story. If you want to be anonymous,
Why
I
would
promise to
anyone
keep your
want to-
information anonymous because it's a thing and it sucks. It sucks.
Yeah, I don't know what I would do with all my furniture. Like, what
Those
do you do
are
with
like my
furniture and
biggest
stuff?
fears, I swear. Lice, bed bugs, like any roaches.
I'm not worried about lice.
Yeah,
Because you're bald.
but you still have to worry about it.
That was a great point. That was a great point.
Yeah, so.
Yes, it's very funny that we have one less thing to worry about in life.
But
I
bugs.
mean, honestly, good for you.
So.
My brother just went bald too.
Did he
so
really?
It's like
He
a
cut
thing
off
now.
all his curly hair.
Yeah,
His little
he
man
had a
bun
long.
and
Yeah,
everything.
he had a long hair. He's gone.
He cut it all off. He wanted to start fresh, so he's bald now.
That's cool.
Do you want to see a picture of him?
Maybe after the podcast.
Okay, fine.
Yeah, fair enough. So, real quick, something I want to touch on. When landlords deliver apartments, they deliver apartments in what's called broom swept clean. You've heard of this
Oh.
phrase before?
Yes.
So broom swept clean is
Oh,
somebody moves
I love
out.
this topic now.
Yeah, right. Somebody moves out of the apartment, and the new person moves into an apartment that has been broom swept clean. Now that landlords can't adjust the rent if they put money into the apartment, really.
More than 15 grand, right, or something like that.
I
There's
think-
a cap to it.
Yeah.
15 grand, yeah.
Is that
Either-
for each apartment or just in total for the building?
It has to be for each apartment,
I'm
right?
pretty
For
sure if you-
total.
yeah, we don't have the
Specifics.
legislation in front of us, so
No,
we can't
yeah.
talk too much specifics. But a lot now, even because they're not even repainting the apartments, which is nuts. But the apartment's broom swept clean. How do you broom sweep a bathroom? You put the broom in the bath and you sweep it out. So if you move into your apartment and there's some grime around your shower, or there's piss in the toilet lid or seat, whatever it is, or there's crumbs in some of your drawers, or the refrigerator smells a little funky, that's how apartments are delivered. Nobody goes through and cleans to make the apartment brand spanking new again.
Right.
We do. We
Good.
clean the stove and the fridge and everything. But the new tenants that come in, they're still not satisfied. They want it
I'm
deep
sorry.
cleaned.
Who? I'm going to say this in the kindness of
Go for
not
it.
like I'm going to be a little diplomatic, but I'm also not. Doing this for as many years as I have, if you walk or move into a new apartment, you need to immediately do a very deep clean. And I am a very OCD person.
I
so like I'm
agree.
super clean.
I agree.
Like, if you're not doing your own deep clean for yourself,
you don't
in
know
an
who
apartment,
cleaned it
that's
to
gross.
your standard,
That's
yeah.
seriously gross. I'm serious, and I judge that. That's gross. Like you should do a deep clean, especially like a toilet seat, like
Of course.
a
of
shower
course.
head, like the ice tray. Like this is stuff like
Every apartment I've ever moved into, I've done a deep clean. And this is
Yeah.
whether it's renting a bedroom, living in a luxury building, living in a walk-up
Mm-hmm.
building. I have cleaned every inch.
like bleach
Even
the
if it
walls.
was gut
like,
renovated, you have to clean it yourself.
Exactly.
Even if it's got rented, there's probably some dust left over.
Debris,
That's just
the
how it works.
workers with their dirty shoes walking
But
in
people,
and out.
mud
but when
prints and all
somebody
that, yeah.
rents a $1,600 apartment, which is cheap, or in the neighborhood that you have, what would you say is the cheapest market rate, cheapest listing that you have right now?
2-bedroom for $2,900.
That is
Two
pretty
bedroom,
good for you.
$2,900.
Oh,
How big is
Fifth
it?
floor walk up.
Fifth floor walk
And
up.
it's renovated. It's so nice. This is a great apartment, you guys. Like
How big is the living room?
queen size, it's small, but queen size bedrooms. It's for roommates. I mean, it's
Is there
great.
a living room?
Yeah.
There's a kitchen that's open to
The living room is probably the size of this room.
including the
Oh, you
inclusive
could put-
of
you
the
could
The
put
kitchen
kitchen.
is
That's not-
separate.
that's fair.
The kitchen is like a U-shaped kitchen. It's really nice.
Really?
Stainless steel appliances, like all white cabinets, marble bathroom.
So for all you listening at home, I'm certainly going to have to get this listing online at some
It's so
point.
nice.
It'll be going by this weekend. Though. It's
most
Wednesday.
likely
It'll be
it
going by the
is.
weekend. But yeah, so you move into a $2,900 two-bedroom apartment on the Upper West Side. That's pretty much as cheap as it gets, and I mean that really is as cheap as it
And
gets.
that's because it's like winter pricing.
It's a fifth floor walk-up in the slowest season ever, $2,900
And
for a
renovated.
two-bedroom apartment, and it's renovated. So we have cheaper apartments that are not renovated, and they're pretty crummy. They're pretty crummy, but people move into this apartment and they think they're walking into the Ritz.
Or want to be treated like they are.
Well, everybody I believe is treated well.
Yes.
Okay,
But
but I think people's expectations when they move into the cheapest apartment on the market are in line with somebody whose expectations when they move into a luxury unit.
right.
Even though it's all the same, the luxury unit is going to be delivered pretty much the same way. It's just a luxury people most of the time complain less.
Well, look, I mean, I've had clients that have like, pushed for a discount on a fee and then demand the apartment gets a deep clean. And my question is like, well, why aren't you doing that yourself? And then kind of force my hand to like, I want to be a good guy and I want to be great at what I do, but like force my hand to get them a cleaning lady like that.
I
That's
have
kind of crazy.
maybe half a dozen times hired a maid service for an apartment.
Same here.
But even maid service doesn't clean the apartment as deeply.
Oh,
As
as
you
you
can
would
yourself.
like.
And the
Yeah.
thing is, hiring a maid service and then somebody still complains, and that's coming out of my pocket. I told somebody one time there would be a microwave in an apartment, and they held me to it, and I had to buy them a microwave. Yeah, I've had people move into an apartment where we knew the gas was off. Con Edison, for whatever reason, cut off the gas, and I bought them an electric stove.
Really? Mm-hmm. Wow. I've had
Yeah,
to buy a hot plate.
Just a hot plate, but to save the deal. Imagine somebody moving in an apartment around Thanksgiving and there's no gas.
Realistically, though, how many people are doing home cooked Thanksgiving in an apartment, though?
A lot. It's New York City.
You think?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah,
I did
rent out.
Thanksgiving one year in the city, and like
Not
everybody was eating
everyone
out.
goes to suburbia, Adam.
Listen.
Yeah,
Or they
not,
may
not
have
everybody has
relatives or
family an
cousins or
hour
something
away
like
in
that.
Long Island. And what if they don't?
I don't know.
What if
That's
they came here
really,
from China
that's
to
a really
escape the
sad thing. They can't
coronavirus?
have like that Hallmark holiday
Are you
Thanksgiving.
allowed to say that?
And they really want to originate in China.
Was he
And if
allowed
I
to
lived
say
in China,
that?
I would move somewhere very far away.
You would?
Hell yeah.
Can we make a promise on that though?
If I lived in China, I would move to the United States if the coronavirus broke out. Yeah. If there's a giant virus in New York City,
Isn't
I'd go
there like
somewhere
4
else too.
people already died in the U.S.
Yeah,
from
that's
it?
true actually.
So why not go
get
somewhere
this,
else?
They shut down that whole city after 200,000 people fled the country.
Yeah, well, we get a lot of bigger battles than rent regulation and tenant protection acts, which just seems to be this. Since it happened, it's this recurring conversation I have every single day.
Yeah, no. I mean, I've had quite a few deals last summer, for instance, that completely just fell apart based on the fact that I didn't know what to do because no landlord really wants to work with these corporate guarantors. There's quite a few that really just don't want to deal with it. They don't want to change the system that they've been doing for decades, and I get that. You know, when you're in a routine, you're in a routine. I get it. But like also, it's becoming to a point now where, you know, we're approaching the busy season in the next, what, like 6 weeks or so? It's going to start really picking up in April or whatnot?
Question though.
Go ahead.
Sorry to cut you off.
Yeah, no.
You know when brokers, or agents rather, bring to landlords corporate companies, what is the benefit to you as an agent?
You're going to pay me an OP
For what though?
when we rent the apartments.
But
if
we want to go directly,
So you're
I'm
saying if
confused.
I brought you somebody that wanted to rent 20 apartments, and
Yeah.
you rented them 20 apartments, and you were going to pay me an OP on each listing that we rented together, you would give me 20 OPs?
but you didn't rent them yourself. The corporate company did.
The corporate company is my client. That's like if I bring you Joe the tenant and he rents an apartment, you're like, but you didn't rent it yourself. Like, no, I was I brokered the deal.
He's right, actually. That makes
Interesting.
sense. Yeah.
I was like wondering why, like,
You were wondering why you didn't write me a check last summer?
we didn't go through that company.
Oh.
I swear to God we didn't. They hit us with really low prices for apartments and we were like, middle finger.
It's okay. That deal died, by the way. I didn't make any money, and I worked like 20 hours on
We'll
that deal.
talk once we shut off. But I'll let you defend your reputation
We
on
did
air.
not
I'm sure.
fuck anyone over, basically.
I do want to say, though, we are approaching busy season, and
Yes,
it's
we are.
right around the corner.
Yes,
Very
And-
slowly, we're approaching it.
But it's approaching. It's like the iceberg that was in my drink. I'm sorry, the ice. And, you know, it just moves really
So
slow.
are we the Titanic, or
I don't
is
know.
this busy season's Titanic?
Maybe
Or the
either
iceberg.
one. I don't know. But the point that I'm trying to make, though, is very simply, there's still a lot of landlords that really don't want to work with any of these companies like Insurant and the guarantors or Leap.
Which we love, by the way. We just don't like people being forced to use them.
And the people who will be eventually forced to use them for certain landlords, do you find that it's going to make our job as a broker tougher to collect our fees, as they also have to pay them a fee now?
So if somebody comes to me, they want to rent a $2,000 apartment for a
Okay.
year,
Sure.
and their credit is $650, not $700.
All right.
Typically, the landlord's going to say prepay last month's rent. That way, if you're late, I at least have a month banked.
But isn't
to
that
evict
illegal
you.
now?
Yes.
Okay.
So because of that situation, because that is now illegal, landlord cannot take any prepaid rent
All right.
or any additional security at the time of lease signing or any in advance at all. People are being turned to corporate guarantor companies, which we love for the right people, but not in the situation where they're forced to use it.
Okay.
So now, rather than prepay an additional $2,000 at signing that goes towards rent, you're paying a lease guarantee company, in most cases, roughly 1 month,
Right.
or roughly whatever that value is, so we'll say 1 month, broken down over the course of the year, which some companies do that as well. It's an additional cost. It doesn't go towards rent, so it's out of your pocket, and you're still paying us as a broker. So on a $2,000 apartment, if I ask for a 50% fee, that's $3,600. So now you're paying first month's rent, $2,000. Security deposit, $2,000. That's $4,000. You're paying a lease guarantee company, $2,000. That's $6,000. You're paying me $3,600 for doing a good job, but hopefully I could have done better. Save you the $2,000 that you paid a lease guarantee company.
Sure.
So now you're paying $9,600.
Is there really a difference? Is what you're saying?
Well, for it could have cost you $7,600, or it was an OP apartment. It could have cost you $4,000.
Okay.
But either way, you're saddled with the additional $2,000 upfront cost.
These insurance companies didn't exist before, right?
They did. They just weren't really popular. I mean, honestly, you know, no one. They were popular with like new development buildings, like luxury high-rise stuff, like Via or maybe like Brodsky or something to that effect, right? But they weren't like becoming reputable with maybe smaller mom-and-pop landlords. And now they're becoming very relevant to them because the situation is
Because of
totally
this,
changed.
yeah.
Yeah.
These
So,
laws.
and I know that most landlords have complained extensively about having to work with them and change their routine. Because I personally think that trying to collect any insurance claim from anyone has never been easy, whether it's Geico or it's, you know, any other insurance company out there. And I can't imagine that it's going to be any easier for landlords to do the same thing. It just becomes more of a process and more of a headache and more paperwork and just longer wait time. And I get why landlords don't want to deal with that, but I don't know.
So you heard about this new thing we're doing called Taco Talk?
Yeah.
Did you really? Yeah,
I
see,
saw
my
your
exposure's
story
not the best.
yesterday.
Oh, nice.
I was
nice.
like, why did he call me for this bullshit?
You'd
TikTok
rather
about
do
the
some
taco.
We could do some taco talk. I would.
Yeah, where's my tacos? Let's go. Get out
look,
a crate of the.
It's
of
a
the sharing
recurrent. It's a
party.
recurrent series.
He's gonna be eating tacos tonight too.
So
Yeah,
So I'll do the Upper West Side. I'll do the Upper West Side with you.
Yeah.
Not you.
Oh wow.
We'll do Harlem. We'll do Harlem.
I get
We'll do-
no tacos.
We'll do Washington Heights.
You want
There
to sit on
are
a
no
park
good
bench?
tacos.
The goal of Taco Talk is to showcase different neighborhoods. Okay. Using tacos as a vehicle to get there.
Why tacos though?
I don't know, Taco Tuesday thing, and it was just.
I think it's just really relevant to margaritas, and that's where it slowly leads
Oh,
to.
it's the only food that associates it to.
Yesterday I had tequila soda, so I really wanted a margarita, but
Have you
Yeah,
guys
tequila
tried
soda.
tequila lemonade?
No.
no,
shit
that's
fucks
a
you up.
margarita. So that's a
What about
margarita with
mezcal
lime.
lemonade? Ooh.
The whole idea is to save on the sugar.
It ruins you. Oh, okay. Well, it fucks you up really fast.
Does it really?
Yeah.
I guess the sugar content puts you at a
Yep,
high too.
yep.
Ooh, that's good. I gotta try that. Tequila and lemonade. Pink lemonade or regular lemonade?
Regular is all I've ever
Everyone
tried.
take notes.
Pink lemonade.
All right, I don't have much more to talk about. You guys
Okay.
have anything to add?
Well, I mean,
If
just
you missed out on the buyouts, I'm sorry.
Oh, say that one more time. Say that one more time.
If you missed out on the buyouts, I'm really sorry.
what buyouts?
So
The
what
landlord
she's saying
buyouts.
is that in the past, if you had a rent-regulated apartment and the landlord offered you $500,000 to move, you could have. However, now that's illegal. So what Layla wanted to say was,
I'm really sorry, you guys. No more. You're stuck
Yeah.
there forever like
Yeah.
you wanted it to.
yeah,
Enjoy.
you motherfuckers voted this shit into place. So it's a shame. Anything you wanted to add?
No.
Do you want to apologize too, like
You want me to apologize to who?
for
To you?
like the buyout people?
No, I'm not apologizing. I have nothing to be sorry about for you guys. I didn't get a buyout. Did you?
All right. On that note, let's conclude Sip Talk episode 10, which I'm really surprised we made it here. I don't think we're slowing down at all, so that's pretty cool. Go subscribe to Apple Podcasts, Sip Talk, and YouTube Sip Talk. Please, we really need the following, and I will love you forever if you do.
And we're watching on who subscribes and who doesn't, so don't forget that.
But on that note, over and out. We're running out of time here. So, goodbye. Goodbye.
Bye, guys.
Cheers.